They are high achievers precisely because they think everybody else is better than them. So they prepare more, they work harder, they commit more time. I think that's just the nature of achievers.
Get rich quick. You make money really, really fast, and then you invest that money so it multiplies really, really slowly over a long period of time.
You can see I'm shaking. Patty says to me, "We have to go back to the hotel now because you need to train." I was like, "What the hell are you talking about, train? All the other kids are out, they're seeing London, they're going to Big Ben, what are you talking about? I don't want to train, I don't feel like training. My brain, my headspace, my spirit is not in the mood to train." She says, "We're going back to the hotel, you're training." And it's a true story. We go back to the hotel. She gets one of these small, little conference rooms in the hotel. We walk in there and we start training. And I'm not in the mood for this. But she forces it down my throat. We train. We go over my prepared speech over and over. I want to say that night we probably went over it 20, 25 times, my prepared speech. At least 25 times.
One of the things my parents did for us was they made us, when we started working, they made us contribute to the expenses of the household. Now, I never did that with my children because I didn't like the fact that my parents did it with me, right? I'm just keeping it real. But you have to understand that my parents doing that quote to me, they also did it for me because they helped me realize at an early age that life cost money, right? Now, I didn't do that for my children, but the fact that I didn't do it for them means I also did it to them because I didn't teach them at an early age that in order to have money, you gotta go, in order to have nice things, you gotta go work for your own money to have them. So I didn't give my children money. I gave them opportunities to work, but I didn't make them pay bills. I didn't make them pay my bills. I felt like that was my responsibility, right? And so everybody has a different paradigm. Just understand that regardless of how your parents did it or how you do it as a parent, that equation has two sides. And everything that you do for somebody, you're also doing something to them, and everything you do to somebody, you're doing something for them. So we have to just learn how to focus on the aspect of the thing that empowers us instead of the thing that makes us angry and bitter and irritated and frustrated and mad at the world, right? So you just have to learn how to focus on the other side.
I was doubting myself that I didn't know how this was gonna go. Frankly, guys, if I'm to be completely honest, I didn't know if I deserved to be in that room. I didn't know if I should have even been in that competition. I genuinely felt like an imposter. I really did. It's also important for me to say that in that year, I was the only black kid in the competition. We're going back now. This is 2002 impromptu run. By this time, I'm just whatever. I want to get this over and done with. At the beginning, I really didn't feel like it. Around the middle of that training session, you build up stamina, you can feel your body feels good again, your physiology feels good, you start positive messaging. I focus on the things I can do better, not the people I'm competing with. And I think for a lot of us, a lot of you, if you're feeling overwhelmed, distracted, you feel like an imposter, you don't think you're good enough for what you're doing. The truth is you feel like that because you're focused on who you're competing with, not what you're doing. Keep your eye on what you're doing. So
Now, here's why I wanted you to write down how much money you made when you first got your first job. I want you to think about the question I'm about to ask you. Is there any universe in which you would allow yourself to accept that as pay for work you do now? No. That's a good question, right? And so that I am not willing to do this work right here anymore for any less than this amount right here. Now, why is it important that you get rich quick? Here's why it's important that you get rich quick. Because wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. If you make $1 million, are you rich? Well, it depends. If you make $25,000 a year, right? $25,000 a year, and you work for 40 years, you've made $1 million. Question, not a trick question at all. Are you rich? No, you're not rich. But what if you make the same $1 million in 1 year? Now are you rich? 100%. Not only are you rich, you're 40 times richer than this person, even though y'all both made the same amount of money. What's the difference?
So pedigrama forces me to focus on intonation, my pitch, my pace, and pause. She forces me to focus on my iconography, my storytelling. And as I'm going through both my prepared and unprepared speeches, because I'm focused on the meta, the small things I can fix, I completely forget the big whale, these people I'm competing with. Toward the end of the session, I think our training session that night probably lasted like 3.5 hours. Toward the end of the session, she looks at me and she says, I want you guys to picture the scene. Patty Cromer is an amazing woman. She's like, I think she's like 5'5".
You, who, everybody tap yourself on the chest, say me, you have decided that there is an amount of money that you will work for and there are amounts of money you won't work for. Now let me ask you a question. Who is the one that set that standard? Everybody tap yourself on the chest, say, I did. That's right, you did it. So the amount of money that you get paid right now, whatever that is, you did it to yourself. So if you establish the current standard, you establish past standards, why can't you establish a new standard? That if you're going to get rich, the first thing you have to do is you have to get rich quickly. Now, I'm not talking about, okay, all you gotta do is buy my secret money printing software and push a button and go to bed and you wake up richer. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm just talking about when I say get rich quick, I'm talking about in your lifetime, right? And all of us have learned to get rich quicker than we used to when we first started working. I don't know how long you've been working, but I've been working since I was 14.
House?
Money.
Zero. Everybody. So you're watching this, and you've got that business idea that you've been thinking about forever, but you haven't done it. You're watching this, and there's that qualification, that certification, that degree you've been thinking of going after, but you're not doing it. You're watching this, and there's that person you've had a crush on forever, but you don't think that they would ever date you. You know the one? You know that person where you put your profile on private on Instagram so that you can stalk them and they don't see that you're watching all their stories? You know yourself, comrade. You know yourself. You know who you are. You're watching this and you're wondering if you're good enough. The company you work at has got a job posted and there's a promotion and you think you can do that job, but you just don't know if you're good enough. I came to tell you two things. The first thing I want to tell you is when it comes to pursuing new opportunities, everybody starts at zero. Everybody, make sure you're the most prepared. The second thing I want to tell you is when the noise is ringing in your head about how you don't belong in that room, the only way to quieten that noise is to focus on the things you do control and the things you can do. So for the entrepreneurs right now who are wondering if your business is going to improve, focus on the next proposal you're sending out. Focus on the next client with whom you're in a sales call with. Focus on the next presentation you have to prepare. Focus on the next candidate you're trying to hire. Focus on next. Because you don't have to know where the lift goes. You just have to know that if you take one step up the stairway, sooner or later you're going to end up exactly where the lift ends up, all the way at the top.
What's the difference? How long it took you to miss the point? The point is $25,000 a year over 40 years is $1 million. $1 million a year is $1 million. Well, what if you make $1 million a month? Now are you rich? Well, yeah, now you're rich. How rich are you? You're 12 times richer than this person. You're 480 times richer than that person. So you can see clearly that wealth is measured more in time than it is in money. And see one of the reasons so many people are broke is because we've been duped into believing that time is money. And so we see time and money as equals, and time and money are not equals. And in fact, when we say time is money, because our cognitive awareness doesn't hold truth for very long. We remember the last thing we said, time is money. And so what we actually end up doing is we actually end up valuing money more than we value time. Most people value money more than they value time, but if they slowed down long enough to think about it, they would value time more than they value money, right? Because I could say to you, I tell you what I'll do. I'll write anybody in here $1 million check. Who wants one? Who wants $1 million check? Everybody, right? But there's one stipulation. You have to end your life today. Now who wants it? Nobody wants it, right? Why? Because you already intuitively and intrinsically value time more than you value money, even though you don't know how much time you have left. However much time I got left, I value it more than I value $1 million. How many of y'all tracking? And so what we have to do is we have to operate. So when we have to operate from that perspective. So we intuitively and intrinsically know that time is more valuable than money. But we don't operate like that. We operate like we believe that money is more valuable than time. And that's why poor people are poor. One of the main reasons, because they sell a whole bunch of their time for a little bit of somebody else's money. And by the time they get some time for themselves, when they come home at night, they don't have enough mental bandwidth or physical energy left to go and operate in their creative space.
So the focus for you should be on how do I compete? Just do the next thing. Just one more thing. I want to leave you with this little bit of homework for yourself. Now, the first thing I want to say to you is that if you catch yourself having a negative conversation with yourself, stop yourself and call yourself out on your own BS. And the second thing I want to say to you, as a believer, I believe this. I believe that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has put in me the dreams that I have, and He's put in me the capabilities, skills, and competencies to achieve those dreams. And where I don't have those skills and competencies, He will maneuver the universe to surround me with people who have the right intent and heart to take me to the place He wants me to go. I genuinely believe it. So the qualification you need is the dream you have. The fact that you have that dream, the fact that you believe that thing, that you're seeing that vision, that's good enough. That's how you know you're on a winning innings.